Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. And welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another indie show review. What is it? Multiple? I'm surprised myself. But, you see the title. This is in August last year. So again, retrograde, retrospect, catching up with myself to do more modern day stuff as well. So, everything that is said, everything that is written down in my notes is relevant, or not relevant, but was relevant, but was my opinion at the time. Anything, of course, the situation has changed, as you know, in DKW as it is now, and anything that comes here, like title matches, and my opinions that I've got here, things change over the years, and we will see what has changed. We always go back to these videos at the time of the modern videos, and it's like, oh, actually, I said that. Yeah. Anyway, let's watch some wrestling. Welcome back to the channel. Of course, it's another intro video, as I've already said. I am Dan, DKW, yeah. And this is for DKW Dropkicks Wrestling South London Calling from the 1st of August 2024. Now, this took place in Beckenham Public Hall, down in Beckenham, which is, I want to say Bromley, which is not really London, but it kind of is. It's one of those weird little parts. Anyway, this is nowhere near me, firstly. If I remember correctly, I was late to this show. I could be wrong. There was definitely a show somewhere in Bromley that I was late to. And I think it was this one, because I remember correctly, it was raining. And I think the show was a Thursday, if I remember correctly. And I had work. So I was still working on this day. And I had to rush from work to get to here, and it was awkward because the trains weren't working properly or something, or I think the train had stopped early, or I was completely running late, and what is what it is. But I got to the venue, and I was told by people there that thankfully the show had not started yet, and it was like, sweet. I was like, cool. And then thankfully I got there in time, and I was there in the front row. You can see the back of my head, basically, like more or less center of the front row. Anyway, we are out of the fallout, as DKW Fallout is now in the rear view mirror, and Champagne Charlie has held off the impending terror of Ricardo Borg. But as the British champion, he has got a big target on his back. So it won't be long before his next challenger is determined, as we've got a number one contenders match on this show. We've also got a new showcase champion as the star of the Luca Valentino brand. Billy Nitro defeated Axel Woods at Fallout. However, he is not on this card. Now, it's time to cover DKW South London Calling. Commentary is Champagne Charlie himself and Luca Valentino, who both come out to Charlie's theme. Foreshadowing? No. For the first match of the night, though, we kick things off with a singles match between Andros J and Isaac Blair. Now, this was a match that was announced on social media with implications about the DKW Tag Team titles, in that if either of Youth Project, Isaac Blair or Dylan Scales, beat either of the Emo Trash Boys, Andros J or Ted Saban, then they may be in line to receive a tag title shot. This would also be the first time we saw either of the Emo Trash Boys since they won the titles from the Big Steppers, Brian Curran and Harry McDonald. So they would be looking to prevent Young Youth Project from getting any kind of momentum going forward. So with that in mind, who would win? And the answer would be Andros J wins following a Ted Saban low blow and a Sister Abigail type move that I'm not sure what he called it. I rated it 3 3/4 stars. I can't praise the work of ETB, even Trash Boys enough. They're such a talented team, and their abilities aren't limited to tag team encounters. They can do singles encounters too, and that much was proven here with Andros picking up the win over Isaac Blair. I will of course always praise Isaac Blair too, whose breakneck speed mixed with his ability to incorporate so many different styles of wrestling into his craft make him such a dangerous opponent for whoever he faces and anyone who he comes up against. But this was a great opener for the show, and it got the crowd hyped. Though this match may have harmed Youth Project's chances of getting a tag title match. We'll find out later. Because now it is time to find out Champagne Charlie's number one contender. As we have a DKW British Championship number one contenders match. We have the Nemesis Tony Kemp, the Dapper Gentleman Peter Miller, and the Woodsman Axel Woods. Now, this was an interesting affair, as we had 3 very different personalities all competing for the chance to face Champagne Charlie for the DKW British Championship at the August show Brawl in Westcliff. Of course, we had Tony Kemp, who was the first ever DKW British Champion. We had Axel Woods, the former DKW Showcase Champion, literally 4 days ago of this show. And of course, we had Peter Miller, who, not to discredit him, but is very much an underdog in this match. So, which of these people would win? The answer would come via a side slam, think a Riptide, like Ripley, from Tony Kemp. There we go. I don't know why it was Tony. Tony Kemp wins following the pump handle side slam on a chair on Peter. No DQ, triple threat, it's all legal. I rated it 3.5 stars. This was a good match, and it really showcased the fact that people really seem to like Peter Miller. The audience got alive when he was one in charge of the match, and chanted along with him when it was time for a Moustache Slam, or when he was feeling his moustache power. So it was only apt for Tony Kemp to extinguish that flame when it came alight. I personally didn't mind the result, and I like what Tony Kemp brings to the table, and it should make for an exciting title match when it comes to Brawl In. Post-match, Luca announces that Tony Kemp has now joined the LVB, the Luca Valentino brand, and that he's targeting Champagne Charlie's title next, presumably at Brawl in Westcliff. Later on. All the while, Charlie is not happy on comms. Not necessarily because Tony Kemp is number one contender, but more because Tony has decided to associate himself with Luca Valentino. Now, after this, we go into the third match of the night. We have a women's match as the protege, Vicky, along with Farrah Jackson and Jaden of The Change, take on Ollie Fern, who's making her debut here at the time. And this was the match to end the first half of the show. We saw life changes, the changes, protege, Vicky taking on someone making a debut, Ollie Fern. What did I know about Ollie prior to this show? Honestly, next to nothing. However, upon seeing her wrestle, she has some so you could say some artistic flair to her work. The way she moves around the ring, treating it like a canvas for her wrestling, which by extension is her art. Vicky, on the other hand, is a brawler, a scrappy sort. She's got in-ring smart and tactics. She takes no nonsense and will call out anyone, including the audience. And to be honest, that could have had a negative effect on the match or for her, such as what happened here when she loses the match to a frog splash from Ollie Fern. I rated it 3.25 stars. Ollie has a, dare I say, a certain air of elegance to her. As she enters the ring with her classical music, waving around a paintbrush, like she's going to be doing artwork of her matches, which is exactly what she did. She took to the ring with grace and with elegance. Meanwhile, Vicky seems to be too distracted by the fact that Ollie was a rookie and didn't take her too seriously, which turned out to be her own downfall. I quite enjoyed this, however, as the two styles clashed here, but in a way that allowed both to flourish in their own ways. I hope we see more of Ollie in the future, and hopefully Vicky can pick up a win in the near future. After that, it was the end of the first half, and then we went into the second half of the show. We had a singles match, fourth match of the night, Ted Saban, Dylan Scales. It was the second half of the show, and the second half of the potential tag team title match, but in singles format, as Youth Project's Dylan Scales took on Emo Trash Boys' Ted Saban, with Isaac Blair coming up short against Andros J in the opener. It would be up to Dylan Scales to try and come up with some sort of chance for Youth Project to get a tag title shot. But could he do it? Especially against someone as experienced and as quick as Ted Saban. Well, the answer would come after a lariat, as Dylan Scales wins via pinfall. I rated it 3.5 stars in a match that truly showcased the differences of speed versus strength. Strength prevailed as Ted underestimated Dylan just a bit too much, and as a result of that, Dylan was able to land a brutal lariat that turned Ted Saban inside and out, taking him down for the 3. I really enjoyed this one, and as I tend to do with Ted Saban matches, I don't hide that I'm a Saban fan. However, Dylan is also coming into his own here, and this is exactly the kind of exposure that Dylan Scales needed. He got a singles match against Tom Edwards back in the anniversary show, which helped him, and this singles match here helped even more. As you can see the promise that Dylan has in his ring technique, his strength will be his calling card, and if he can utilise more on that along with Isaac and tag matches, Youth Project are going to be a force to be reckoned with and a tag team to watch in the future. Absolute certainty. And after that, we go into the main event of the show, the 5th match of the night, a tag team match. We had Life Changers Inc., Fallon Jackson and Jaden taking on the makeshift team of Prince Dean and Peregrine Kelly. You know, they're on paper, they're makeshift, but who truly knows how well these two know each other and how each other work? And would it be enough to overcome the impending force of Life Changers Incorporated, a group led by Fallon Jackson that's been going around for years? So the answer to this question comes after the Life Changers win, when Jaden hits a red arrow type move on Peregrine Kelly. I rated 4 stars. I can say that match went almost exactly the way I played it out in my mind. It started off with a whole lot of fight on the outside, basically all over the venue. Then when it finally got back to the ring, it became more of a traditional tag team match, with Life Changers working on trying to separate Kelly from Dean, or Dean from Kelly, but with a little bit of fan support. Peregrine and Prince were able to get some momentum going. However, Life Changers, despite being a new tandem between Founder and Jaden, showcased tag team acumen, which enabled them to pick apart their opponents and ultimately the win. I enjoyed this match too, and it was the rightful main event because in a show where no titles on the line, you needed a high octane match in the final slot, and this was exactly that. Great match, great way to end the show, and you got to showcase more of Jaden, Peregrine Kelly as well, and introduce DKW audiences to Prince Dean. Post show, Founder reveals that this was his 300th win, and Jaden thinks it's time for a brand change. So they're no longer the Life Changers, they are in fact now the change that we need, even if we don't want it. Some strong words there from Jaden. And that was what ended the show. So again, short review, it has to be that way because these are just retrospective reviews that are going to be short. Don't go into much detail. Just try and get things chugging along towards the current day. Honestly though, I did enjoy this show. First time in Beckenham as well. Enjoyed the venue as well. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm pleased that they go back there. If they don't, it's whatever. But you know, good venue, good spacing, good acoustics, a lot of stuff here. Really played out well for them, and yeah, we will see what happens next. Right, DKW, you can follow them down below. I'll put everything down below, social medias, and the YouTube where you can watch these shows. They upload them regularly for free on YouTube, which is the way pro wrestling should be shared. I believe that here in my chest. Yeah, truly believe that. Please go check them out. Go buy a ticket. Like, you will not experience a show like DKW until you've been to DKW. If that's the video though, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you thought of the show. Do you agree, disagree with what I have said, etc, etc. But as well, of course, follow DKW, follow myself on Twitter, Depreezy, just there on Twitter, and the podcast itself, we are there on Twitch, Twitter or X, Facebook, and Instagram. And with that out of the way, that is everything I've got to say, so goodbye, prosperous lives, enjoy wrestling, and keep being you.